Hi, my name is Millie, and let me start with one of my favorite quotes. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. This is what Stephen Covey had said. And that quote really kind of captures why communication breaks down in so many workplaces. So today, I'm going to talk about how active listening and empathy can completely change the way we communicate at work. And these skills don't just make conversations nicer, they build trust, they solve conflicts, they strengthen an organizational culture. And I chose this topic because I've seen it firsthand about how poor listening causes confusion and frustration, and good listening creates cooperation and teamwork from everybody. So here's what I cover. First, I'll define what active listening and empathy mean in communication. Secondly, I'll explain how they improve teamwork and reduce conflict. And finally, I'll show how leaders can model these behaviors to build a supportive workplace culture. So, active listening means to give your full attention to another person, understanding their message, and of course, responding thoughtfully. The communication researcher Catherine Dwyer had described it as listening with your eyes, ears, and heart. And empathy, on the other hand, is the ability to understand another person's perspective and feelings. When we combine empathy and listening, people, they feel seen and respected. And according to the Jack Gibbs theory of supportive versus defensive climates, empathy helps reduce defensiveness and encourages honest communication. So now that we understand what listening and empathy mean, let's look at how they make teams stronger and help us to reduce conflict. So, constructive conflict, where people respectfully debate ideas, can actually make teams more creative. In the TED Talk from Jonathan Marks, he explains that healthy disagreement leads to better decisions because it allows everyone to share unique perspectives. And when team members practice active listening, they don't interrupt, they don't dismiss others, they focus on understanding. And this makes it easier to solve problems together instead of creating division between one another. And I've experienced this personally. In one of my jobs, like our team, they were having problems over and arguing over the scheduling and taking days off. And once our manager started kind of dealing with them and meeting with us and truly listening, asking what each one of us needed, that tension disappeared, and we created a rotating system that ended up working for everyone. And that's the power of empathy in action. So leaders to take this further and shape an entire culture around listening. Let's talk about that next. Organizational expert Edgar Schein explains that culture has 3 different levels: artifacts, espoused values, and underlying assumptions. And when leaders listen with empathy, they influence all 3 of these things. For instance, when a manager genuinely listens to you during a meeting, that's an artifact, a visible behavior that communicates respect to you. And over time, that behavior values like openness and trust, are values that become underlying assumptions, like the belief that every single voice matters. So empathetic communication from leadership creates a supportive climate. People feel valued, people share ideas freely, they stay motivated. This kind of culture reduces turnover and increases morale because the employees know they're heard and respected. So to wrap it up, today we talked about how listening and empathy are the foundation of effective workplace communication. We defined these concepts, we saw how they improve teamwork and reduce conflict, and we explored how leaders use them to create a positive organizational culture. So communication just isn't about speaking, it's about understanding. As Ernesto Ciroli said in his TED Talk, the first principle to helping others is respect. If we all practice that level of respect in our own workplaces, we not only communicate better, but we'd work better together. Thank you.